works, because it's very calculated. They want to send refugees, kind of like what they're doing in Germany. They're taking a village of maybe 100 people and sending 1,000 refugees there. Or they're taking, 5,000. There was one town we went to, there was 38,000 people there, and they have about 1,200 refugees that they have spread around. We actually interviewed one, a young man named Muhammad, and you can find that in the Alex Jones channel. But here's Barbara Day explaining how the domestic resettlement section chief works and what their process is to moving refugees around the country.
The philosophy of the United States Refugee Resettlement Program is built on the premise that refugees will become self-sufficient as soon as possible, ideally through employment, although some refugees, of course, come to join family members who are already economically self-sufficient. We view self-sufficiency and participation in local affairs as signs of integration into our culture. The United States accepts most of its refugees through referrals from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. And within that criteria of international law, we accept the most vulnerable refugees. We have systems in place throughout our country whereby those refugees most in need of our assistance can be welcomed, provided with the assistance that they need, and find security, safety, and a future in the United States. Certainly most refugees dream of returning to their home country, but for many refugees, that is not possible. And for those refugees that can no longer be protected in the region offering initial protection, resettlement to a third country becomes sometimes not only the best option, but the only option. And the United States certainly encourages other countries to continue to resettle refugees, to increase the numbers of refugees that they are able to resettle in a given year. And of course, we welcome new resettlement countries to our community of this wonderful form of humanitarian assistance and protection.
It's a wonderful form if they really want to come here and be assimilated. And from talking to the young man in Germany, he says he wants to be resettled, but he has no interest in going back to his country. And this is a young man of prime working age. He should be working on his country. It's like we talk to these people who run around shaking the Mexican flags. If Mexico's so great and you want to shake the Mexican flag, why are you here? Why aren't you in Mexico making Mexico great again? Why are you coming to our country and telling us we have to become Mexico? Because there's a reason you or your parents left Mexico. I want to go to this final video here in this kind of refugee subject we're talking about. And this is a guy that Michael Zimmerman interviewed, and he's a Brit, and he's got a dire warning for America. He was at a Trump rally over the weekend, and this is his, I guess, warning to America about where we're going, the path we're going down. And I guess Britain's already been down that path, so he doesn't want to see us go in that same direction. Here's that video.
Michael Zimmerman for Infowars.com. I'm here outside the Donald Trump rally in Phoenix, Arizona, talking to Lewis, who was born in the UK and then moved to Australia and then ultimately to America because you love constitutional culture, you said.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I was listening to a lot of old-fashioned Baptist preaching, and just from gaining appreciation for God and His Word, I gained an appreciation, I suppose, like the founding fathers did for the Constitution, which is founded itself upon the Word of God. And the thing that broke my heart kind of coming here is seeing how I can see remnants of, like, vestigial remnants of that constitutional culture, and how basically the Constitution is really in its last phases of the great attack that's going on to try and destroy and bring down, like, America for what it is. Like, when I got here, I thought it was like the shining city on the hill, because it's like the most Christian nation in the face of the planet. But when I got here, I learned firsthand that the broad way of people here, and this is what really kind of struck my heart, is there's people in England and there's people in Australia they're almost inseparable from most people here that don't know the Constitution. They're just these brainwashed liberal fools that don't understand on a hard basis and on a gut basis how important it is to have a Second Amendment culture. You know, people think it's just about men, wanting to appear manly. It's not at all. You know, it's something much more deeper than that. It is.
It's a fight for your life. It's a fight for your freedom.
Exactly, it really is. And not even just freedom, but liberty. Not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the liberty, the ability to do what is right, to know what is right, to sense what is right. And now what we see is a complete degradation of the morals which the founding fathers followed, to the point where people don't know what is right. They don't know the right hand from the left hand. So to them, the founding fathers are nothing but just a bunch of dudes, a bunch of dead guys. To them, the Constitution is nothing but a piece of paper. But the thing is I heard of a guy who used to talk called Bill Cooper on the radio, and the very first show he ever did, he was shot dead, by the way, for saying the same kind of stuff that Alex Jones would. And one of the very first things he did on his show, he just talked a little and played the Constitution in its entirety. And if the president gets up each year and talks about the State of the Union, if he wants to tell people it's true State of the Union, the only thing he has to do is to open up the Constitution and show people, hey, look, we should have a healthy militia. Where is that militia? We should have healthy Second Amendment culture. It's being degraded and deteriorated, just ask the NRA. We should have healthy freedom of speech. When I come to America to experience liberty and freedom as embodied in the Word of God and the Constitution, and I go to Tempe Public Library, you know what I mean?
So there you go. A strong Second Amendment culture. He said, if we lose that, we're going to lose everything. And I've got a story when we get back from the break about this Uber driver who was using his Second Amendment rights to defend people. Imagine if someone would have been carrying a gun at this Pulse nightclub, and I know people are saying, oh, you can't drink and be at a nightclub. There's plenty of people who go to nightclubs and don't drink, okay? There's plenty of security there. I've been to clubs, bars, where there's a shotgun underneath the bar, and it's to deal with people who might get unruly when you have to bring them back into line. So when we get back from break, I want to go over that article and then talk about, we're going to get into some Trump news, and I'm going to have the young man who is basically becoming an internet sensation after taking down a Black Lives Matter Nimrod who just doesn't even understand what an immigrant is or what Trump's proposals are. No, he does not want to ship black people back to Africa. Sorry, Black Lives Matter, you're not going to win that argument. It's not going to happen. It's Rob Dew. Infowars.com/show is for the free live stream. Check it out. So next time you get in a car with an Uber driver, you won't be doing that in Austin, though. Don't worry. But because we've outlawed Uber because they wanted to take 1% of their profits, and Uber as a corporation said no. And although Uber's doing some bad things, right now they offer pretty cost-effective ways to travel, and they're able to bring down our drunken driving rates 14% here in Austin. Even the chief of police admitted that. So we had to do something to get that revenue back up. So outlawing Uber was the first thing they did. But here we have an Uber driver licensed to carry guns, shoots gunman in Logan Square. Authorities say no charges will be filed against an Uber driver who shot and wounded a gunman who opened fire on a crowd of people in Logan Square over the weekend. The driver had a concealed carry permit and acted in the defense of himself and others, Assistant State's Attorney Barry Quinn said in court Sunday. The driver pulled out a handgun and fired 6 shots into the man Eduardo Custodio, hitting him several times, according to court records. Responding officers found the man lying on the ground bleeding. So it had already happened, okay? Like the shooting had already was done by the time the police got there. There's another great little tidbit you can get out of this article right here that really pisses me off when people say, well, the cops are going to take care of it. Nothing against cops, but when seconds count, cops are minutes away. The Uber driver was a 47-year-old resident of Little Italy, and he had, of course, had gone through all the proper training and procedures to get his concealed carry permit and had his firearm owner's identification card. But here's just a great example of how a good guy with a gun stopped a crazy person who got a gun regardless of the fact of how many laws you get to keep people from getting guns. How many people get drugs out there? Even though drugs are against the law, they still get drugs. We still manage to have a really bad drug problem in this country, even though drugs are against the law. It's going to be the same thing with guns. And our government's been caught shipping guns all across. Well, they ship them across the world. They ship them to ISIS. They ship them to Mexico. They ship them wherever they want, and it seems to be okay. And so I want to play a short clip of this other interview I did at Bilderberg. And this one, I didn't put it up at the time. I'd forgotten about it because we had so much stuff going on. But this was he's the editor of Infokrieg.tv, which stands for InfoWars in German. And he's talking about how the precariat, or the lower classes, are going to be used to control the upper classes in this new system that's being put in place where everybody gets welfare. So here it is.
All right, so one of the things they're talking about in here is this new precariat class, which is, I guess, one step away from absolute peasantry or something, absolute serfdom. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, according to recent numbers, 17% of all European working age people, 17% are without a job. And of course, you know, the American numbers, 100 million Americans without a job. So there used to be a lot of talk about the proletariat, the working class, not making much money, but at least having a stable job or a stable work environment. But of course, these guys, they moved a lot of the production overseas. While some of these insider companies, they did not have to move overseas because it's oil business and banking stuff that stayed here. So obviously a lot of jobs are gone, and they're talking about this new low class and what to do with them, because at some point they might get smart, they might get organized or whatever. So their idea is the basic unconditional income. The Swiss people just voted it down. It was this big vote a few days ago. And it was about revamping, completely changing the social security or social system.
Yeah, so giving each person like 2,000, 2,500 Swiss francs a month. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, it's different in each country when it's proposed, but I think it was that high in Switzerland. But of course, living cost is higher in Switzerland. Other countries have said it would be more like 800 euros, and it could be 800 euros to 1,000 euros in Germany. So instead of having all these different payouts, these different payments, you get one payment for everyone. So that way they can prolong the secure social welfare system, because it gets cheaper. You don't have to hunt every dollar. You don't have to hunt every euro. You just have a fixed amount of money paid to every person each month. So you can pay the rent, you can pay your Netflix, everything. So that's for one thing, is to keep the new low class, the precariat, happy with that. You get food, you get your rent paid. And so the precariat will defend the new order. And also we've seen companies announcing they're going to return to Europe and return to America with their production, like Nike or Adidas. They've announced they bring the production back home, but it's going to be robot factories. So not a lot of jobs here. So more people in the precariat, more people to keep happy, more people to keep into the system they're going to defend. Because imagine going to someone and saying, you know, we need to change this. You know, you shouldn't be getting this free money each month. But it's going to be cool.
You can watch the full video on the Alex Jones channel. It's how the elite will use the poor to control you. And it is the new systems they're going to set up. They're going to give away free money, as they say, but it's going to have a lot of strings attached. That's Alexander Benesch from Infokrieg.tv. Watch the full video and educate yourself so you can educate others. It's all part of the info war, because there's a war on for your mind.
On the march. Black and support a racist. That's sad. That's real sad. He's against you. Why will you support a racist?
Tell me what he said about African Americans.
He's going to send you back to Africa. That's what he said. He said send Mexicans back to Mexico. You are a disgrace to America.
Thank you.
For being a young black man supporting a racist.
Thank you. Yeah, that is awesome.
That's sad.
That's awesome.
How does your parents feel about you holding a Trump sign?
They're Trump fans too.
Where they disgrace to America too, because he doesn't like you or your parents.
All my friends are immigrants. I have 3 friends.
Yeah, you didn't answer our question.
And they're happy.
What has he said?
He said send Mexicans back to Mexico.
No, he said
don't let Muslims here.
Yeah, he said.
Why?
Are you going to let me talk, or are you going to yell?
No, I'm telling you, because you holding this Trump sign, and you need to be taught.
We conversation, can we? We cannot do that, right?
And then
okay.
telling you against your own people.
She just graduated high school, so she's not a kid no more. Okay.
What would you tell him when a racist send Mexican back to Mexico? What would you tell a young black man?
I only believe that he's going to send illegals back.
Yeah, exactly.
He said in
That's
your
what he
state,
said.
send Mexican back
He
to
said
Mexico.
illegals.
Just illegals.
Illegals.
Only. And
Please,
he's
His
not
wife is not legal. She's from Europe.
She's legal.
How she was born in Europe?
Okay,
Why would her husband be running for president if
But she has U.S. citizenship, so that's just because she was born in another country does not mean she has a legal citizenship. That's fine. You don't have
real
to.
lad.
Yeah.
If he's
And I can say
elected,
the same thing about you, but I would
She was
not
born in Europe. That makes her illegal. This guy has a very small grasp of reality. And I would say he's the one who is a racist. He's wearing a Black Lives Matter T-shirt and obviously rejecting all lives matter. So there's the video right now. It's got over 1 million views on our YouTube channel, probably